2005 Honda Civic, and we're doing the front brake pads and rotors. Let's get to it. Removing the front tire, they are held on by a 19mm socket. Never put these on, put them on way too tight. No reason to do that. And you can see why we're doing the brake pads and rotors, because this one has gone metal to metal and this rotor is destroyed. All right, let's go ahead and remove this brake caliper, held on with two 12mm bolts. Removing the top one first. If you remove the bottom one first, you're going to have the caliper's just going to swing and you'll be fighting that. Not saying it will swing, but it has the possibility to, so. Let's go look at these brake pads now. Go ahead and move your caliper somewhere safe. You can see this one is just done. Okay. There's no pad left, it's all metal. Let's just go ahead and remove the brake caliper mount. They are 17mm bolts. To remove the rotor from the Civic here, I strongly recommend getting one of these slap screwdrivers, because if you break this, or if you, these are made out of like soft metal for some reason, and if you round out this Phillips head screw, you're gonna have to drill this thing out. It's gonna take a lot more time. This thing just works wonders. It looks like I need to get some new tips for mine though, because this one's starting to get pretty bent out. Anyway. Got our new brake rotor. Go ahead and line this up so that we can reinstall our rotor screw. And really, you don't need to reinstall these screws. They're put in from the manufacturer to hold the rotors flush to the wheel bearing or wheel hub. But I like to at least put one back in, which most of these rotors, if it's the first time they've been changed, should have two. You can see right down here, we have another where there's supposed to be a screw there, but whoever did this last one put one screw back in. Like I said, you don't really need to do it. It just makes it easier when you're putting the caliper bracket and the caliper back on, because it's going to hold that rotor flush. These are put in from the factory when this is going down the assembly line to hold the rotors on. But once the wheel is put on, the caliper is going to be pressed into place, so they don't really have too much purpose. Quick thing about the rotors though, if you're putting new rotors on, make sure you spray these down with brake clean because they come coated in an oil so that they don't rust while they're in storage. And you want to spray that stuff off before this thing hits the road, or else it's going to have some burning and some pretty nasty smells coming from your brakes. And you also don't want that. You don't want that oil touching your brand new brake pads. All right, so let's go ahead and inspect our brake caliper bracket. You can see right here, this thing is pretty nasty. These should stay engaged inside of the caliper, but this one has not. It should look like this one right here. And you should be able to move these pretty easily. If you can't, you might need to pull them out like this one and either replace them or re-lubricate them, depending on how bad they are. All right, we've got our brake parts lubricant, the purple stuff. I use this stuff, been using this stuff for years, it's great. Just put a little bit on there. It doesn't need to be a whole lot. Just use the boot to lubricate the rest of it up. And see if you can't get this thing in here. Which I don't know if we're going to be able to, because they can be kind of a pain once they're old and the rubber gets harder. I don't think it's going to happen. Oh. I think I actually got it. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and remove our hardware. And we're going to reinstall, we're going to install the new hardware, line it up nice and flush like that, and it'll just pop into place pretty easily. Just make sure you line it up on the inside. You can see it has these little tabs right here that slide on the inside of the caliper bracket. All right, and then with that, I'm gonna get some more of that brake parts lubricant. You know, I'll put just a small dab right where the brake pads sit. Just like that. Go ahead and reinstall our brake pad caliper. Oh my goodness, our brake caliper bracket. Let go. And we've got our brand new brake pads right here. You'll see that one pad, or actually, because you get a set of 4 in each box, 2 of the brake pads will have the wear indicators on them. That's this piece of metal that when the brake pad wears down to a certain point, this little piece of metal will start scraping the rotor, making a high-pitched squeal and letting you know that you need to change your brake pads. Go ahead and slide these into place. Using one of the old brake pads, we can set our seat clamp and start pressing this piston back in place. All the way down until it's flush. And our caliper has been reset. That caliper went in nice and smooth, so we know that the caliper is in good shape. It does not need to be replaced. It was just that they neglected their brake pads. Go ahead and put our 12mm caliper bolts back in. Putting them down nice and tug. With both the caliper brackets, bolts, and the caliper, the actual caliper bolts, make sure you hand start both of them, because if you put one down tight, you're gonna have a lot of problem lining up that next bolt before you put them down. So put them both down hand tight first. And again, before you put your tire back on, make sure you hit this thing with some brake clean, both the inside and outside of that rotor, to get that oil off, so that way you don't got a burning smell and your brake pads aren't rubbing and getting hot against some fresh oil, because your brake pads will absorb that oil. Other than that, that's pretty much all there is to doing brake pads on your 2005 Honda Civic. If you guys got any questions, let me know in the comments, and if you liked this video, if it helped you out, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.